Hello, and welcome to another episode of the First Watch Podcast. Today, I've got someone new on the podcast. I have Patrick, who I think, aren't you working on a film of your own, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, so I'm part of Spillage Studios team. We're a little podcast, horror podcast, and we're
Mm.
also aspiring filmmakers. So we started working on films the past year, and we currently have two in the works right now, hopefully being filmed shortly. Not gonna say too much of that, but yeah, if you guys want a brief, I guess, analysis or a synopsis of those two, just think of Milk and Cereal by Kerry Barker mixed with Sinister. So stay tuned for those. So honestly, I hope to get those out this year at some point. And then we're also always making horror videos. We're doing a monthly review every single month. We do a monthly video called the Slash Cast where we review a horror movie that we pick. So if you guys enjoy horror movies or just film in general and just want to hear us ramble, feel free to check it out. That's a little bit about what we do over there.
Nice. Well, I usually ask a certain question at the end, but I think I'm going to start asking it at the
Okay.
beginning, simply to kind of understand or get to know the newer guests on a podcast, right? What film or films have you seen that has changed the way you look at yourself or the world around you?
Dude, you killed it with these questions, man. I gotta start taking notes. Man, that's a tough one, but I'm a big horror guy. I love all sorts of film in general. I think one that really shaped me as a filmmaker was, and this is gonna sound like a weird answer, but the Kevin Smith movie Tusk.
Hell yeah.
And I'm gonna explain this a little bit. So I've always grown up being like the weird guy that always loved being movies, being obsessed with them. Always seen like the Marvel movies growing up, and it wasn't until when I was in middle school, 8th grade, I really dove into expanding my knowledge on like film in general. And there was a movie coming out. I remember it was at Comic Con. The trailer released for Kevin Smith's Tusk, and I watched the trailer and I was like, "This is so weird. Like this guy's insane. Like this movie's crazy." So I ended up watching the movie and I just became I went into this like rabbit hole of Kevin Smith and just film in general. And I started watching movies like Clerks, Chasing Amy, his filmography, and just hearing about how he got started in film. If you guys don't know Kevin Smith, he made Clerks for like $27,000 and he pretty much went into debt. He sold his comic book collection and everything. And I was a big comic book nerd growing up too, so I really resonated with his film style and his upcoming to be a filmmaker, and it just really that's what really inspired me, and I was like that's what I want to do. I want to make films one day, and seeing someone do that was really cool. And Tusk weirdly kind of brought me all together into that understanding of what film is and really shaped my love for film, and I have it tattooed on my leg because it means
You
that
really?
much to me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So, yeah, Tusk was the movie that kind of brought together
Uh-oh.
my love for film, and it's such a weird answer that I love giving because it's so unusual. Like, most people will say, like, I don't know, like Taxi Driver or something that's like the common film bro movie,
Yeah.
something like that. But Tusk was a movie that really meant a lot to me and my upcoming to understanding film and really expanding my whole knowledge on everything about film, and just yeah, it just means the world to me.
Tusk is a fantastic film. I love it so
Thank
much. I saw it as a kid as well. Well, I'm older than you, so I saw it, you know, closer to high school because I was in high school whenever it came out. And yeah, I that's a weird movie, but it's so good, and even the story behind it is
Oh
weird.
yeah, dude.
It
That's another
makes
thing
no
too. Like
sense,
it's a
but it's great.
podcast. The whole movie started on a podcast, and
Yeah.
dude, I resonate with Kevin Smith so much. That dude's my film hero. I hope one day to make films the same way he did. So
Yeah.
just really inspiring and just really helped shape my upbringing for film and just honestly helped shape my worldview of film too. Just reviewing movies, just being passionate about them. So yeah, that's my answer. Tusk.
Yeah, Tusk is a great answer. I will be honest, it's a great answer.
How about you?
Well, there's been a lot of movies that I've enjoyed, but one movie that really kinda woke me up, um, both just in my own life and in films and stuff, and, like, what can really be powerful was All That Jazz, and that was,
Ooh,
like, a
yeah,
couple years ago, and I was like, "Oh, shit," once I watched that movie because I watched it not long after my dad died, and I was like, "Oh, this was a bad idea to do this 2 weeks after my dad died. Horrible idea to watch that movie then." Um, but it kind of woke me up from all the shit that I was dealing with, and I was like, "Oh, I should probably figure life out." And it's so crazy that a movie could do that.
dude, I absolutely 100% agree with that. I think film brings together people. And I think us, like, being just, like, film nerds and everything, like, that's our escape from the world and where we can find, like, meaning. And I
Yeah.
think that's, like, the most powerful thing. I think it's beautiful, and, that's what cinema is to me. It's just the way that it enables us to come together and just appreciate life in general.
Yeah. How much of a fan are you of Martin Scorsese?
Taxi Driver is one of my favorite movies of all time, even though
Okay.
I was just making the film bro joke, but Taxi Driver and Goodfellas were my introduction to Martin Scorsese, and I fell in love with them. I remember watching Goodfellas way too young. I think I was in like fourth or fifth grade, and I remember my really good Italian friend. He showed me the movie. He's like, "We got to watch this." It was like from a sleepover, and I was like so invested. I was like, "What in the world are we watching?" But it was so great. And then when I got to middle school, that's when Wolf of Wall Street came out. And that was a big one. I just remember everyone watched it. Again, we were probably way too young watching Wolf of Wall Street at like 12 years old. I know I was like 12 when it came out, so way too young to be watching it. Definitely like snuck it in my room or something,
Yeah.
or saw it on TV, and I was like, hopefully no one's watching. I'm gonna go throw on Wolf of Wall Street. But then my aunt and uncle are huge cinephiles, and they they bought me a bunch of DVDs when I was in high school, and one of those movies was Taxi Driver. And I remember watching Taxi Driver for the first time and just being blown away. Robert De Niro's performance, Jodie Foster, movie just absolutely blew me away. I just thought it was like the perfect representation of how to craft a perfect film, in my opinion. And those were kind of my introductions to Martin Scorsese. And then another movie that was really powerful that I actually just watched in the past year was Silence. And that
Okay.
was just another extremely powerful movie. I can't believe not as many people, like, talk about that as Scorsese's
So
greats because
yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, I need to
It's
watch that
top
so
5 for me.
really.
Yeah. Andrew
So
Garfield was phenomenal, that movie. Adam Driver too, and I know that movie took I think it was, like, 30 years to make. It was like a passion project for him. Completely blown away. I think Scorsese gets better as he got older in his filmography. His filmography is insane, dude. Like, he does not miss. Just continuously blown away by every single film he puts out, and he keeps going, man.
yeah.
He's still pumping out movies. I think he has one coming out next year or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it because I think it's already been, like, announced or whatever, but I think he is releasing something
Yeah,
next year, and I just don't remember what it is. Um, yeah, we're talking about After Hours, which is a pretty early I would say early film. If you look at his filmography, it's so fucking massive that it is technically an early film in his filmography, even though it's, like, the 10th the one that he did. Um, and this is a I wouldn't say it's a weird one for me, but it's definitely one that, like, doesn't feel entirely like a Scorsese film, like an early Scorsese film. When you look at all the other ones that he did prior to After Hours, this seems almost like the opposite of a Martin Scorsese film.
totally, dude. I was introduced to this movie last year, and it was just sitting on my bucket list for a while.
Yeah.
and I was doing some research on The Last Temptation, his movie with Willem Dafoe, and I came across After Hours. I think I saw like an edit or two of this. And I was like, this looks really cool. This seems nothing like Scorsese has done before. I'm very interested. And I remember seeing the Criterion Collection DVD set, and I was shopping at Barnes& and Nobles, and I saw the cover for it, and it just had like these fluorescent colors, and I was like, I really need to watch this movie. I was tempted to buy it, but I was like, I need to watch it first. And yeah, it was just sitting on my watch list for like a year until I think this past week. Yeah, this past week I ended up finally watching it, and I was just I actually ended up watching it because I was doing research for a not research, but I was doing looking for some like inspirations for this film idea me and my friend had.
Mhm.
And I thought this movie kind of resembled what we were going for. And I was just blown away. I was like, this is nothing like he's done before. It's definitely his outlier compared to every single other project he's done. Because I feel like this movie also flies under the radar a lot.
Yeah.
And I just haven't seen as many people talk about it. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it because it was something else.
It's also pretty short for a Scorsese film too, like, it's only 90 minutes, like, 97 minutes?
Yeah, and I
Like,
feel but you know what? It
not
feels
bad.
longer than 90 minutes though.
It does a little bit, and I thought that I was a little crazy for thinking that, and I'm kinda glad you said that because I thought I was going a little cuckoo, and I was like, "You know what? This feels more like a 2-hour film," and I don't know if it's because I I don't even know if I wanna say that I wasn't invested in it. I guess it was just, like, it felt weird watching After Hours after knowing everything that Scorsese has done, and it not feeling like a Scorsese film. So I was like I was expecting, like, a switch up at some point,
Yeah,
and
even
I
the
guess I was
acting,
looking
like, does
for it.
not feel like a Scorsese film at all.
No, it
You know
doesn't.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
he
no, I know
he
what you
just
mean.
has, like, this distinct style with his actors that I don't get. I get a totally different vibe from this movie,
Yeah.
and I can't think of the actress's name. I'm blanking on it.
Which
This
one?
is one thing I'm terrible with.
Oh, I'm pretty bad about it too. Don't worry.
Yeah, Rosanna Arquette.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
She was totally different from she was awesome in this movie, but she
Yeah,
was totally different from anything it was almost feels like ahead of its time, like, a little bit.
yeah,
Like, I feel like this movie would have been released it feels like a 2000s film, but it's released in 1985, and I think
yeah,
Rosanna Arquette definitely brought that out a little bit, and it has this black comedy feel to it, and that's not a genre that you really see that often, and I'm
yeah,
very intrigued by that genre of film because I think that's actually why I ended up watching this movie because me and my one friend were trying to come up with the idea of like a dark comedy, like those 80s and 90s style of that like that black comedy, that era. And I ended up watching this movie. I was like, this totally fits that genre. And it also has that like film noir type of feel to it as well.
yeah, it kinda does, doesn't it? I didn't really think about that until just now, whenever you said that. Yeah, it does, it does. I watched it last night, so it's still kinda fresh on the mind. Yeah, it is kind of noir-y when I think about it.
What are
It
your general thoughts?
I mean, I liked it. I I enjoyed it, but I was still, like, waiting for the Scorsese of it all, if
The
that makes
twist.
sense. Like, I was waiting for something to make it feel like a Scorsese film because it didn't the entire time. I thought I was watching a film from somebody else. Now, from what I saw earlier today, because I was looking around at, like, the trivia for this movie and whatnot
Mhm.
on IMDb, and he said that he didn't really have an idea of, like, how to end it, even though he had a script like, it wasn't something that he wrote. It was something that somebody else wrote, and he had the script for it and everything, but he wanted to end it a different way, so he showed it to, like, a bunch of people, like Spielberg and De Palma and Gilliam, and he didn't know how to end it. And I find that very odd because I feel like he's so calculated with everything else that he does.
Yeah, this feels like the most, like, uncalculated Scorsese film, and I think it's just because it's so sporadic too, because this movie also, like, going back into that 90-minute runtime, it feels like it doesn't end.
Yeah, it
I
it
don't know if
really
you got
doesn't.
that assumption
No,
from the
no,
movie, but, like, I was watching it and it's like, you can't catch a breath in this
no,
entire movie. Like, you
no.
feel like you're in the main character's shoes, and you're just like you're thinking in your head, you're like it starts out slow, though. It starts
Yeah,
out slow, and then once he goes once he goes to the apartment, Rosanna Arquette's apartment, that's when it's like, okay, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
What weird thing is gonna happen next? And I think that's what keeps you on edge the whole time, and that's where I kind of got this whole vibe that this movie just what like you said, when's that Scorsese like flair gonna come into
Yeah.
play?
This felt like Anxiety the movie,
Yeah,
and because, like, the entire time it's just something's gonna there was twists and turns, but it wasn't what you would expect from Martin Scorsese. It was all just like just shit is just hitting the fan constantly. There
yeah,
is no rhyme or reason to anything. The poor guy can't catch a break, uh, at all. He just finds himself into a million different situations, and he's just wrong place, wrong time, every turn, and you don't know what to expect, which is nice, but you're kind of also hoping for some sort of, like, story arc, and you don't really get that.
yeah. I think this movie really lacked. I don't even want to say developing characters because I don't
Well,
because you
no,
kind of
like,
do get some character development, but you just don't have an I guess you don't really have like a big flare up of like a plot. It's more so just in the moment and what's gonna happen next. Yeah,
I
that's the kind of just vibe I got from this whole thing. It's not really it wasn't really built around like a central plot. It was really built upon okay, he's getting to A to B. Okay, now he's at B, he's getting to C, D, and like so forth and so forth. And you were trying to like I know his main goal is he wants to get home. And at some points you're wondering like I guess I don't want to say it's predictable, but it does feel predictable, like you know how it's gonna end. And I think that's where maybe Scorsese wanted to change or they had some issues with the ending here, trying to figure out if they wanted to have like a more, I guess, like just a like expansive ending to this. But it was really straightforward, I guess. And yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of what I thought about the plot. I guess
it
summed
was
up.
it was straightforward yet jumbled, and, like, I would even push back on the character development thing because like, it feels like they would ramp up to something and then just hit a brick wall and then would drop off, and then they would ramp up to something else, hit another brick wall, it would drop off again, and then just keep doing that with each little checkpoint, I guess you can call it, in the movie because it felt like he was just hitting story checkpoints and not really anything else.
Yeah, and I thought I'll be honest, there were some of the, like, funny scenes in this. I thought dude, I don't know why, I thought the scene where he's, like, being chased by the mob,
I thought that was
and
hilarious.
he was like, "Yeah, there's a mob chasing me." I was that was a good touch to it because I like Paul, he's kind of like, "What the hell is happening?" Every
Yeah.
single time he's, like, gets into a new scenario, he's like, "What the hell is happening?" And, yeah, I thought the whole, like, vigilante mob thing was hilarious. I that was a good touch, I think Scorsese or the writer, whoever ended up adding that element to the film, I thought that part was pretty funny.
Yeah, I felt that Paul, like, you could I think the biggest main development was his anxiety throughout the entirety of the film, because he was started off pretty calm and cool and collected, and then just as things unfolded, he just got crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier until he was like, "I just don't care anymore."
Yeah. I was kinda confused though on, like, Paul's main what he kinda wanted, I guess, out of this whole scenario in the beginning, and it was pissing me off so much because at
I'm right
first he
there with you.
wanted, like, those paper mache or what was it that he
No,
wanted from
he wanted the paperweights that
the paperweights, yeah.
he was looking for those paperweights that he eventually ran into, which I'm still confused on how the fuck we got from A to B on that one. But he wanted those paperweights for him to have a home that he was looking from an artist, and I guess he kind of I don't even know how he kind of played it into a date because I thought it was just,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
was
I'm gonna
confused
go
too
pick it
because he did
up."
not seem interested. At least I got the assumption he didn't seem interested in, like, that beginning coffee shop scene.
Yeah, I think it was I feel like it was around the time that they were in the apartment for maybe, like, 5 to 10 minutes that he was starting to get very disinterested, and I can't remember what was the name of the
Iki.
character. Yeah, Kiki. She was the goth one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was the
she
one doing,
oh, yeah,
like, the
Linda
paper
Florentino.
maches, and she's like, "Here you go, it's your turn to start making them."
I think she's the one that kinda put him off on the whole situation. I think he felt a little uncomfortable after meeting Kiki, because I don't think he really expected to be in that situation, because why would you?
Yeah.
You're going up there, a woman's doing paper mache, she's like, "Fucking massage my shoulders," and then comes up to you basically half naked while you're supposedly on a date with another woman that she already
Yeah.
knew that you guys were essentially on a date.
And then he's, like, discovering, like, the burn cream and stuff like that, and that was another, like,
Yeah,
weird touch. I was just like because he saw, like, the burn creams and everything, and then that's why I was just so confused because he seemed so, like, distant from Marcy, but he kept,
yeah.
like I was so confused. I was like, "Okay, Paul, what make up your damn mind."
Well, she was he was looking for burns on her,
Yeah.
and that's why, like, even whenever he got to the tattoo, I was like, "Oh, you fucking idiot." Like, whenever he saw the tattoo, I was like, "You moron, you could have at least, like, asked her or something."
Yeah, I
Um,
think Paul coulda gotten out of, like, a lot of these scenarios,
so
and I
many
think the first one was the subway home. Like, dude, you're in New York City, go look for what did he need, like, 30 more cents or something like that? The train
well,
ticket was, like, $1.50.
yeah, it was like a
I
dollar
guess the
50 and
no, no, the
97
first
cents.
thing was the $20 bill that
Yeah.
he just was like,
Well,
"Ooh," it fell out the window.
first of all, why would you put it in a taxi driver's, like, little cubby hole thing that, like, clearly is not closed and is not gonna hold anything well? Like,
Yeah.
just leave it in your pocket until it's time to get out of the damn
Oh,
taxi.
dude, and I gotta admit, I know this movie's from 1985, and they probably had low budget, but that car scene looks
Yeah, that was rough.
looked
That
rough.
was rough.
It
That was
looked
rough.
rough. I was like, "Oh, you guys coulda put some of the budget into that scene to make it just look a tiny bit better," but
Yeah.
yeah.
I
They made it
the
seem like the car was going, like, 200 miles an hour in New York City. I'm like, "No."
yeah, and I feel like they did a lot of that speeding up, like, on purpose. It felt so strange to see that, 'cause they did it a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, where they did, like, a little bit of the speed up in the edit,
Yeah.
where I
I'm
was
trying
like,
to think of when the
that
second
feels
time
odd."
was.
I could have swore there was another spot where they did that, and I was like, "That just feels odd." But, yeah, there were some parts of this movie that felt really weird that definitely shouldn't have. And I don't know why that is other than, like, maybe I don't even wanna call it bad writing, but there were a couple things that didn't get a payoff. Like, the burn thing obviously didn't get a payoff, even with the tattoo part. I figured him talking about the fear of the burn victims and stuff that he saw as a kid whenever he had his tonsils removed, I figured that was gonna have some sort of payoff whenever he went to the apartment downstairs underneath the club, whenever he was in that, like, what looked to be a kiln, to
Yeah.
be very much like an open kiln. I thought that is where we would end up getting our payoff, where it'd be like, "Poof, fire," and he's like, "Oh, shit," and then just runs out.
I have one more complaint too, and it's about when the hell this movie takes place because he gets to the apartment at, like, midnight, I believe, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, like
But
11:40 or something like
the
that.
whole night feels like, when he gets to the apartment, he's, like, falling asleep and stuff, and then Marcy's not even home, and there's just so many events that take place from, like, the start of the apartment to, like, the end of the movie
Yeah.
that I'm just like, how are all these, like, bars and everything, like, still open? Because he doesn't even get to the last bar when, like, the vigilante mob is, like, chasing him. He doesn't get to that towards the end of the movie too.
Yeah.
And he's
And
still, like, running into Kiki, who's going to, like, the Club Berlin and, like, stuff like that, so I'm just like, I don't know, I just feel like that was my one of my main issues that I was constantly, like, thinking about in the back of my head. I'm just like, when does this like, what time is it in the movie? Because there's no way it was only, like, a couple hours from the time he was at the apartment, from, like, Tom go leaving the bar and everything and coming back, and yeah, I think that was just an issue, like, it feels like this would have taken place longer than one night.
Yeah, you would think so, and it did feel strange that I it did feel strange that it started at, like, midnight and then supposedly ended at, what, 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
as he's rolling up to his job, like, covered in all the shit that he got himself in by the end of the night. I felt like we missed a few things. Even if he would've taken a nap for, like, an hour, it probably would've made a bit more sense, um, because it didn't feel like he was in the van with Cheech and Chong for fucking an hour or an hour and a half, and that would be the only thing that would really make sense because there was no showing of, like, the sun coming up. It was just dark light, like, almost
Yeah.
instantaneously.
Yeah. And then we also have that other, like, there's so many subplots into this whole thing too. You
So
also have the subplot of the what were they? The sculptors, the Kiki sculptors that he thought they were taking, like, the paper mache statue.
yeah, yeah, that's Cheech and Chong, yeah, they
Yeah.
they were but the thing is they were the fucking bandits. Like, they were the burglars. By the end of the movie, they were the burglars, which I thought was, like, a cool little thing. Because at first it's like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna play them off as if they were customers of Kiki's," and which makes me think that maybe Kiki was in on the score for all the things that they were robbing all the different places. Apparently, in the movie, there's, like, 8 different apartments that are robbed throughout the entirety of a week, and within that night, I think they said there were, like, 3? If I remember correctly. And Kiki was like, "Oh yeah, they're fine. They're cool." Like he went back upstairs after he found that they were trying to take the sculpture and run off with the paper mache sculpture in the back of their van. And she was like, "Oh no, yeah, they're good. They're the ones who bought it off of me." I was like,
You
"Okay,
you know what I also was just remembering? They even go to the diner
yeah,
after he meets with Marcy,
yeah,
after, like, an hour or 2, so that's why I was so confused because that would have taken I mean, just, like, summing up everything right there, that should have taken at least, like, 2 hours or so it should have been, like, 2 or 3 AM. Now, obviously, I don't know what it was like in New York City in 1985, maybe all the
yeah."
bars were still open till, like, 4 or 5 AM, but
Well, yeah, like, I know, like, in Atlanta, that's the case. Like, anywhere from 2 to 4 depending on the bar in Atlanta. They'll be open until then. Athens is also kind of the same way, depending on whether or not it's, like, a game night or, like, yeah, anything like that, like a Saturday. They'll probably stay open until about 4. It would make sense to me that New York would have bars that stay open until 4 o'clock because it is the city that never sleeps. So it would kinda make sense, but I don't know, there was just no indication that it had progressed to
yeah.
about 4 o'clock in the morning at any point, other than maybe Club Berlin whenever they were closing up, and he was downstairs in that apartment, but other than that, there was really no indication that it was at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and then kinda skipping ahead, so I forget how he gets back into the apartment.
Which one?
So I think we kinda skipped
Because
over the
there's
part
3
where
different apartments, 4 different
yeah,
apartments that he gets into, actually. 'Cause there's
crazy.
there's Tom's apartment. Or no, first there's Marcy's, then there's Tom's, then there's the waitress's that he gets into. There's 5 in total, actually. Then there's Catherine O'Hara's, and then there's the Club Berlin one that's underneath Club Berlin. So that's 5 apartments that he visits in the span
Yeah,
of this movie,
crazy. All throughout New York City too.
all throughout New York
Um,
City.
but I think so he goes back to the apartment. I forget what he's going to apologize to
To
Marcy
yeah,
about
yeah.
the burns. He goes on that whole, like, monologue about how he's sorry and everything, and how he just wants to, you know, call it a night and go home, and he sees I forget if there was, like, a motive for her suicide.
There was no note that I saw. Like, I didn't see a note that he read, or at least I don't recall one.
Yeah, there was
Because
nothing,
that's
so
why he kept spiraling out of control after that, because he kept thinking it was his fault, because I guess in his mind, cause and effect was he was just there, he just had an argument with her, and a couple hours later, she killed herself with sleeping pills.
yeah. And then he gets back to the bar, and then that's when Tom gets the phone call about his girlfriend that just committed suicide.
And it's like,
And
"Oh,
even I
shit."
thought, I was like, "Okay, that was probably Marcy," but then later on you find out it wasn't, and it was just
Yeah.
another girlfriend at the same exact time. Convenient
But
plot
wasn't
point.
it wasn't it the same I coulda swore they said her name was Marcy.
Did they say
I
it was
coulda
Marcy?
swore he said her name was Marcy.
But it was a different girl, right?
No, I think it was the same girl.
It was the same one?
I think it was the same
Did I
girl.
get that wrong, dude? You
I
might be
think
right.
'cause she said
There's so much about this
that
movie.
dude, well, there's so much going on, so that's it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. She said that she had a husband who lived in fuck me, I'm gonna forget, like, South Africa or something? I wanna say that's
Something like
way
that.
wrong, but the guy lived overseas. That was her husband. They had, like, a little falling out, and they didn't really see each other, but they wrote notes to each other all the time. Then she said that she had a boyfriend, but didn't give the name of the boyfriend.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
then
You
was
might be right though.
dating, Paul or whatever his name was, and then was trying to date Paul. And so he knew that she had a boyfriend, which is also partially why he was kind of like standoffish and was like kind of
Mhm.
going back, at least in the diner. And then I think once he found out that Tom found out that his girlfriend died, he started to put the pieces together. And that's why he kind of was like, in my mind, I feel like that's why he was kind of like separating himself from the suicide because at first he was blaming himself and then you can kind of see where he's like almost like the weight is kind of being lifted off his shoulders a little bit because he's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe their relationship is what caused it and I wasn't the one that caused it even though I feel as if I'm the one that caused it.
Yeah,
I
I
may
think
be
you kinda get
wrong.
a lot of that back and forth, like, he's justifying that, "Okay, I didn't cause this." Well, at first, that's his initial reaction, he's like, "Okay, this is all my fault, I did all this, and now look where it's got me." And then he kinda has, like, those back and forth convictions that kinda go on throughout the whole movie, honestly, till the end.
Yeah, there's there's so much and then like every woman in New York City is wanting to fuck him.
Yeah, dude, I was just about to say, the
What
waitress too, who turns on
what's
him then
what's going on,
and
man?
starts the vigilante mob, which I'm
Yeah,
confused about this
yeah.
vigilante mob. Is this just like a organization run in New York
Well,
City for
it looked like it was the neighborhood watch because they were all upset that all of these apartments were getting dinged and getting hit through a period of what seemed to be a week. And then so they were all like, "Hell yeah, we're gonna get together and try to find this person." And they thought that Paul was the one who did it in the first place just because he went up to Tom's apartment, but he had the key to Tom's apartment, and that's why he was able to get in, but they didn't know that initially. So they saw him as the thief, and then he went back to Tom's apartment to hopefully, I guess, go and get his keys if I remember correctly, because I think he thought that the keys were there as opposed to at the
yeah,
bar.
I mean,
Because
he made the mistake of that. That was that stupid thing where he's like, "Okay, here's
he
my keys.
made
I'll give you
so many
my keys if
mistakes.
you give mine."
He made so ma I get the point of a collateral, like, I get it, but, like, first of all, Tom made a fucking mistake just by trusting the guy, because why would you do that? Secondly, Paul made a mistake by putting up his keys for collateral, not knowing that he's gonna be able to get his keys back, but trusting that he's going to be able to get his keys back, and then it loops into many different problems that he has later on because
Yeah,
he
and I was
can't
confused
get back
too
home.
about I kinda noticed throughout this whole review, I'm like, there's this part I was confused by. The whole movie is confusing. Whether
Yeah,
whether you wanna analyze it or not, like, there's a lot of different ways you can interpret different scenes. But I think the one
very much.
scene with Julie, the waitress's name,
Uh-huh.
she she leaves that note when Paul's, like, sitting down and it's like, "Help me out of this, I hate my job," or something like that.
Yeah.
But the way Tom made it seem is like she doesn't work there, but, like, does at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it was very Like, I initially thought, like, she was
Yeah.
working, but I guess she was just then seemed like just a customer. I
Yeah,
don't know, it seemed like a bunch of
she
back and forth.
yeah. She seemed like she was working, but also, like, not working hard. So that's why he was like, Look, I don't care. Like, she gets paid in tips. Like, it's not like I'm paying her hourly. So if she doesn't get paid, that's kind of on her. Um, so I don't think Tom really gave a shit about
Yeah,
whether or not she was doing anything because he was still making the money for like the beer and the food and stuff like that, anyways. So it really didn't matter to him. But if she's just gonna sit there the entire time like she did, now granted there's only like 3 people in the bar, at least at the time that she was sitting down at the table, it fucking leave. Like, she could've just left. Like, she didn't need Paul.
yeah, that's why I was confused by the letter, like, he's not holding her hostage, at least we
No.
don't think.
Yeah, we don't think. I mean, you would
Maybe
gather
he is, but
and see, Tom didn't seem like that kinda guy. I may be wrong,
no.
but Tom didn't seem like that kinda guy. And it was just strange that she was like, "Oh, yeah, get me out of here." And then they eventually do leave, or she quits and stands outside the door. I don't know oh, excuse me. I don't know what tonight did to cause her to finally pull the trigger because it's not like she went through a lot of shit during her shift or anything, and she was finally fed up like you would normally get in movies. She just kinda was just like, "Yeah, I'm done." Like, that was that. And left and just stood out in the rain and waited for Paul to come back because she apparently knew that he would.
Right.
Um,
Just
because she
conveniently would
even
come back.
said that yeah, she even said that her apartment was around the block
Yeah,
or,
wasn't
like,
it, like,
across
right
the street.
across? I think it was across because you could see when he was, like, up in the apartment, he was waiting for, like, the gates to open up.
Yeah,
Which,
and
Tom, what kind of business owner are you? Like, closing and opening your own bar? You got customers, man.
well, it from what we saw, he didn't have very many.
No, clearly.
So,
But I
I
think there was
guess
one other
it was
guy in there,
fine.
so I guess he just locked him up in there.
Yeah, I was kinda curious about that. Why wasn't the guy just standing outside with her, like, waiting for him to be able to go back in? I guess he called it a night and was like, "Fuck it, if he's gonna close, I'm just gonna go home."
Yeah, and then Paul ended up entertaining this whole idea with Julie once he goes back to her apartment when he clearly could have just said, like, "Hey, I just want to get home. Like, I'm not interested in any of this. This night has been a mess. Like,
I
whatever
think
you
he
can do
was
to help
using
me."
her.
Yeah,
He was definitely using her because she just kept pushing herself on him, which again, why? Why are all these women
exactly.
just, like, all over Paul? What is it about this
Just
guy? Because he
flocking to
doesn't
him.
seem confident. He doesn't seem like he's this suave guy. He's very awkward. He's a very awkward dude,
Yeah, and then
and
she
yet
kind of
everybody wants him.
I guess Paul's just the attraction in New York City, man.
Shit,
And
I
then
don't know what I'm doing wrong then. Like, fuck.
and then she actually won't let Paul leave because Paul's like, "I need to get back to the bar to Tom," and she's like, "No, you have to stay here with me." And he's like, "No, like, I gotta go, like, I'll come." Then he makes the mistake, he's like, "I'll come right back," and he's like, that's when I mean, like, he's
Yeah,
entertaining Julie. When I'm just like, "Paul, you coulda clearly just said, like, I just wanna get home, like, this night has been a mess," and
yeah.
then he goes back and forth to the bar, and then I think that's when trying to remember what happens next after that. I think that's when he
So
sees
much.
the sculptors or the ice cream man or something.
Yeah, he sees them again not long after he goes outside because he goes to the bar's still closed. He looks back and sees the truck going by, and he wanted to start going after them to apologize because Kiki told him that they were just people that bought the sculptures. So he felt bad because he
Yeah, they just break in and take sculptures as their way of buying them.
yeah, and he like wanted to apologize to them, but they obviously sped off because they remember seeing him from before yelling at them. So they took off and went to another place to go rob. And then he was like, "Well, shit, I guess I'm not apologizing to them."
Yeah, and then the ice cream man initially, like, agrees to help him.
Yeah,
Now
Caitlin O'Hara, yeah,
Yeah,
she was the ice cream
or
truck
yeah,
driver.
I think Gale or something,
Gail,
right?
I think was her name,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, she's all over him. I'm like, "We're getting Catherine O'Hara all over this guy too? Like, come on, man." Oh,
Yeah,
god. How
and then
annoying.
yeah, and then Julie, I guess she just wanted I don't know if she actually thought that Paul was, like, the robber, or she just wanted to, like, get back at him.
Yeah.
It was that she wanted to get back at him, right? Or
I well, no, I think she was afraid because she saw the posters that I guess they were all done by the waitress because he saw her putting up the posters
and they somehow
of
got, like, a poster of Paul, and they were already placing them, like, on New York City, like, who had the time to, like, draw that whole portrait?
all within a night,
Right?
all within a
Probably
couple
all
of
within,
hours,
like, 10
sorry.
minutes.
Yeah, all within a couple of hours. Like, the fact that they were able to go do that, I guess go to a fucking Xerox machine and just print off a million copies and place it almost at every telephone pole is an impressive feat, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
and then Tom pissed me off too, because he could have clearly helped Paul in the one scene,
so many
the
times.
diner, and I was
He's like,
like,
"No, he's in there."
yeah, he goes out Paul is, like, begging him for help, and I mean, Tom has to clearly know that Paul's not the robber,
Yeah. He's like, He didn't
and
rob anything from me."
your girlfriend also, like, committed suicide. You would think he would be more, like, devastated by that, or, like, staying home, or, doing something else besides, like, trying to be a part of the vigilante mob.
Yeah. He made it seem like, "Oh, well, now that I'm entertained with something else, I don't have to think about my girlfriend who just killed herself."
Yeah,
Like,
and
he
he
completely forgot about it.
and also, like, at the same time, like, yeah, it's a vigilante mob, but, like, at the end of the day, what are they gonna do? Like, just, like, kill him and leave him on the streets?
Yeah, what's the end game? Because they didn't call the cops. There are no cops out
They
there.
can't, they're vigilantes. I mean, they're doing it under their own will.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
then somehow Catherine O'Hara is, like, the leader of the fucking vigilantes now just because she saw him for what seemed to be 10, 15 minutes
And
of the
somehow
entire
know
night.
where he's going every single step of the way
Yeah.
in, this big ass city, like, they somehow know where he's going every step of the way.
Yeah.
So he eventually I forget how he sneaks out of the diner, but he sees the someone oh, no, someone conveniently hands him, like, that one goth girl comes in,
Yeah.
hands him the club flyer as if anyone's going still at this time. Who knows what time it is at the night at this point.
I was guessing, like, 3:30, 4 o'clock. That
Yeah,
was my guess,
yeah.
but
And
who knows?
he gets the flyer, and then he remembers that Kiki's gonna be there. She's
Or
not.
should
He
be.
ends up going there, and it's completely dead, besides one girl, June, who's also interested in him.
Now we got a cougar all
Which when you
interested.
thought it couldn't end, it somehow gets more. And June just so happens to be a paper mache sculpture artist,
Gee,
conveniently,
how convenient, right?
and decides that well, Paul kinda, like, sways his way in by dancing with her, and she's like, "Oh, no one ever does this with me." And, Paul has a tendency of just using people throughout this whole mess that he's in.
Yeah, he was using her to hide, basically, to make it seem like he was just another dude in the bar.
And that's another moment too, like, you could've just asked the bar owner, like, or just someone, it's a big city, ask someone. I'm sure someone will take you back, or, like, let you stay the night somewhere.
Well, even he
And
kind of sold him out, like, the bar owner kinda sold him out a little bit too,
yeah, because he
toward the
says
end
the
there.
apartment's down he kinda helped them out at the beginning, and then he was
But
like, "Yeah,
then
it's
just
just
like,
June,
"Oh,
she
yeah,
lives
the
down there."
apartment's down there." Yeah. He's like, "Go ahead, you can knock, I'll knock, whatever." It's like, "Okay." Like, you could've been like, "No, like, no one is permitted down there, it's her private property. You guys cannot go down there, and if you try, I'm gonna call the cops." Like, you
And
could've at
dude,
least done that.
you know who's the most terrifying character? June. June's probably the most terrifying character in this movie.
Yeah,
She is,
she's
like,
way
straight
too
up a
calm.
serial killer.
She's way too calm.
She's calm, she's just nonchalant, and then when she brings in Paul downstairs to, like, hide him as the paper mache sculpture, after they leave and everything, she starts, like, she's like, "I can't leave this unfinished," and she's still, like, putting together the paper mache, And Paul's like, "Are you gonna leave me out of this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll be right back though." And then she goes upstairs, turns off all the lights,
and then just leaves.
and then just leaves. I was like, "Okay, maybe June's like June is secretly the villain in this whole
Yeah.
mess." That's what the end game is. June's the serial killer in this whole thing.
Yeah, it felt so off, and I was like, "Okay, wait, but that's also your apartment. Like, where are you gonna go now? Are you gonna sleep in the booth
Maybe the
upstairs?"
other paper mache, like, sculptures are also people under there. You never know.
Well,
Terrifying
that was
either way.
that was my other thing, is like, okay, this is literally what I was thinking whenever we saw them pick up, well, as the paper mache was like, "Okay, so you picked up the other one from Kiki, and it was what you would assume to be a paper mache weight, which would
Right.
be more or less 25 to 30, maybe 50 pounds in total, right? You pick up the all paper mache, and it's at least sitting at a buck 80. How are you not even
Bucket
mentioning?
80 soaking wet.
Yeah. How are you not mentioning that there is an obvious weight difference? Even just a one off the cuff, even if like they were to just do a small joke, and knowing Cheech and Chong, they could have easily done that, even on their own accord.
They were probably too high during it.
That's a fair point. They could have easily just did like some sort of, or done some sort of joke to, you know, point out the obvious weight difference, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They're just like, "Dude, like, come on, that's, like, one of the easiest alley-oops you could have done, and you just didn't have it." I don't know why, but
It's
whatever.
it's kind of funny though how, Cheech and Chong were kind of like the heroes in this whole thing.
Yeah, more or
They're
less the
clearly the
heroes,
heroes in this whole thing.
like, the unknowing hero, because they had no clue or seemingly had no clue that it was Paul.
Yeah, because they broke in because, I mean, you would assume that Paul would have died if he would have been left down there.
Yeah, yeah.
And they conveniently somehow found a window. I don't know if they were like,
Mm-mm. It was a
or
sewer
no, was it
drain. It was a
sewage
sewer
drain?
drain.
Okay.
Yeah. It looked like a sewer drain. 'Cause they just came up from the top, and they moved what looked to be a manhole cover,
Yeah.
and they were just like, "Alright, we're gonna dip down now." And they're like, "See, I told you," or I
Yeah,
can't
that would
remember
have
if it
been
was Cheech and
hard as
Chong.
shit to, like, bring a human body, like, up that
Yeah, well, I think they
with just
went
their
out
own
the
strength.
door. I don't think they went out the manhole cover. I don't believe
So
so.
they went out the front door,
Yeah, 'cause I don't
like,
think
where the
they
bar
saw
was?
anyone in there, yeah. But even
And
then,
also
how would they get out? But
yeah, because where did June, like, disappear to?
right, another
Where
unanswered
did the
question.
bar owner just disappear to?
Right, another unanswered question. And, like, did the mob just give up after 4 o'clock in the morning?
I
Like,
guess
there's
we'll have
so
to have an
many.
after hours too to find out.
Right. I mean, if
40 years
everyone is,
later.
yeah, I mean, other than Catherine, if everyone else is
Yeah.
still alive, maybe we could, get some answers. But it's just
Yeah,
it's
then
so
we
odd.
yeah, so then we get to Cheech and Chong, they have him in the car, and Paul eventually, like, tumbles out of the paper mache, and he's driving, breaks out the door. It's morning time, which again is another kind of plot hole because it would leave it leaves me to assume that it would have been he starts work. There's no way he starts work at like 6 a.m. and he wasn't down in the basement that long.
Yeah.
But it was like daytime. It was ready for. I mean, he was the first one there anyway, so maybe he was just there early, getting those
But even
extra
then, it was
hours
still
in.
light outside whenever he got
Yeah.
there. So it's like, when did that happen?
So then we get he stumbles out and he's right in front of the office building, clocks in for work, and that is after hours.
Yeah. Which
Wild
I
movie.
thought it is a very wild movie. Now, I know we're shitting on this movie a lot, or seemingly shitting on the movie a lot.
I don't even think we are because
Yeah,
I
kind
think it
of.
just yeah, kind of. But
But
I just
like,
think
it was fun.
there's just so much I don't know, there's just so much to it that you could just like you could talk about we're talking about all the flaws, I feel like.
Yeah.
And maybe we're being a little nitpicky, but it also, you know,
There was
I
just
don't know,
so
it's
much
fun to
going on.
analyze, so yeah.
Yeah, there was just so much going on that it's like it's hard not to do that because you're trying to make sense of everything that's going on and how we got from literally A to Z. Because it's not like, there was an A to a B to a C and that was it. It was like A, B, C, D. Like, there were so many different plot points that it was like, how many fucking plot points do we need for a single movie? And like it feels like one of those like road trip movies because it
Yeah.
kind of has that same formula.
It feels like a
Um,
Coen Brothers movie a little bit.
right. It kind of does. It really does. I think honestly, this material probably would have benefited more from a Cohen viewpoint, like if they were the ones directing it, as opposed
Yeah,
to
because
Martin
I think they do
Scorsese.
such a good job. That's their style, like,
Yeah,
that's what they that's what they succeed at for, you know, 30, 40 years they've been doing it, so, I think this would have been now, I was reading Tim Burton originally was set to be the director of this movie,
see, that would be good too.
and that would be really good because
That
I
would
feel
be
like this is right
fantastic.
up his alley, and I think that's where Scorsese kind of lacked a little bit because, again, if you look at his whole filmography, this is the standalone, like, nothing I mean, I guess Wolf of Wall Street is, like, the closest to it, but Wolf
I
of
mean,
Wall
maybe,
Street
but
is a
even then, that still feels
three-hour-long
like,
movie.
yeah, it still feels like a Scorsese film because, like, all of his films are so fucking long. But this is like a 90-minute film that feels like it's 2 hours
And that's what the
because
Coen
you're
brothers do, they do, like, 90-minute run times,
yeah, they're
and
used to that.
they shine through that.
Yeah,
Like, this movie
100%.
kinda reminded me of I know it's a recent Coen Brothers well, Ethan Coen directed it, but Drive Away Dolls?
Yeah, I still gotta watch that, but,
Yeah, it
I
kinda reminded me of
hear
that, it was like that, comedy road trip, everything going wrong.
yeah, and again, like I said, it feels very much like a road trip movie, but I don't know if this story would have benefited from that. I think it kind of hindered it a little more than it benefited from it. Now granted, like, I had fun with it. I laughed a lot.
Oh, yeah, it was
I
totally
will
fun.
say. It was a fun time, but when you have the name Martin Scorsese printed on the front of it, and it shows up before the movie even starts, whenever the starting credits roll, you're like, "Okay, I'm getting a Martin Scorsese film," and then you get the almost polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
It's kinda like, "Okay, wait, what was that?"
Yeah, and before I watched this movie, the last Scorsese movie I watched was Silence. So imagine going from watching Silence, which is this like religious drama,
Yeah.
and then going to something completely different after hours, which is just, this screwball comedy road trip disaster movie.
Yeah, and I don't know how it played in 1985. I don't know if it got different reception than the way that you and I feel about it now. I'm very curious about that. I guess I would have
Rotten
to
Tomato score is 90%.
like, the critic score?
Yeah, critic score,
Interesting. But then again, I
but
don't know if I necessarily trust the critic scores half the time.
yeah.
But, I interesting. I feel like I would have to talk to a lot of people that maybe saw it around the time that it came out and how they feel about it now. Everything that Scorsese has done because he's done so much.
I think this movie's hard to get into for one reason, and it's just like it's that Martin Scorsese tag. If you're
It's
going in I think that kinda mixes like, your viewpoint or, like, your anticipation of what it's gonna be like. So, I think if you're gonna watch this movie, go in with an open mind.
yeah.
Don't go in expecting don't go in expecting, Wolf of Wall Street or Goodfellas or The Irishman by any means. Like, go in expecting this movie is probably closest to, like it kinda has the same vibe as Taxi Driver a little bit,
Yeah.
cinematography-wise, a
Yeah,
little bit.
cinematography-wise,
Yeah.
yeah. But, like, tone, very different. I I feel like that if you were to put this next to, like if you were to say, "Hey, here's a lineup of films," whether it be, King of Comedy, this movie, Killers of a Flower Moon, and Wolf of Wall Street, and go, "Okay, which one is not from the same director?" And you don't know who the director is, like, if you're not entirely familiar with everything that Martin Scorsese has done, But you see After Hours sitting there, you're probably gonna sit there and point that and be like, "That's probably not from Scorsese." Like, it doesn't feel like it fits with everything else.
Yeah, and this is like a mid-career
Yeah,
movie
it's like
too,
10
which seems
movies
so
in.
strange. That's why it seems so strange to me that but that's also why I appreciate Martin Scorsese so much because he's willing to go different genres.
Yeah,
You know, one
I
of my
that
good
I
friends
appreciate.
yeah, one of my good friends, he always taught me, like, "Don't stick to one genre," and that's something I always keep in mind when even I'm coming up with, like, film ideas. Never stick to one genre because you always want to be expand your horizon, expand your taste and everything.
Right.
And I don't know. I liked that he was willing to try something completely different. And you know what the funny thing is? We probably never got anything like this movie after it came out. Because after this movie came out is when Last Temptation came out.
Yeah.
That was his next movie.
Yeah, and I'll even go one a bit further. I may blame myself for the way that I view this movie,
Yeah, so I'm
because I
curious,
was expecting Martin Scorsese.
did you have any expectations going into it? Like, did you watch
Well,
any
yeah.
trailers,
Well,
synopsis,
no,
or
no,
anything?
I went into this blind. I like to do that
Okay.
as much as I
Yeah.
can. At least nowadays, I really like to do that. And I had heard that it was a good film and that people liked it. And that was the extent of my knowledge of After Hours, but I didn't see anything of it prior to going in and watching it. I just knew it was a Martin Scorsese film. That was it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was expecting, and I clearly didn't get what I was necessarily expecting. And I think that's kind of I would venture to say and chalk it up to the fact that that's more on me than it is on Martin, because I am always expecting a singular kind of tone from Martin Scorsese. So, you know what? I will be man enough to say that maybe it's my fault that I was expecting something more than what I got.
Yeah. But it's
Or
totally reasonable.
yeah, yeah, totally reasonable considering, everything else that he's done. But, maybe I judged or prejudged too harshly maybe, and don't really let it kind of stand out by itself.
Yeah, and, when I'm introducing someone to if someone went in blinds, like, I've never seen a Martin Scorsese film before, I wanna "What do you recommend?" This wouldn't be my first choice, because I
No.
think if you put this as your first choice, then you're leaving them under the because when you watch a new director or something, that's your first impression of them, and that's your first the great example is Robert Eggers,
Mhm. Yeah.
The Witch. If you can watch any of his movies and you'll know, like, that's a Robert Eggers film.
Mhm.
This is the of every single Scorsese movie I've seen, like, this is the one outlier that just feels like, just totally different movie, like, you would just never guess it's even the dialogue doesn't feel like a Scorsese
No.
movie at all.
No.
Because when I picture Scorsese, I think of, The Wolf of Wall Street, I think of Goodfellas, I think of Taxi Driver. I just think of that very, like, very extravagant, outgoing dialogue, and this just has that, like, dark comedy tone, which is just, yeah, unique in itself.
Yeah. It it just feels odd. Like that's really the only way to
That's a
describe
review,
it.
it's just an odd movie.
Yeah, it's just a very odd movie. It's definitely like a screwball type movie where you never really know what's gonna happen. You you expect one thing, you get something completely different, which could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Like you were saying, I wouldn't necessarily put it in front of someone if they haven't seen Scorsese film before. This wouldn't be the one that I throw at them. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I wouldn't recommend it at all. I think it would be
No,
one
I
of
would
those
totally
that would be
recommend
like
this.
I would recommend it, but preface it to be like, "It is not what you might expect." It is
Yeah.
I would just leave it at that and be like, "Okay," like, that's all I'm gonna say, and then let you just kind of go from there,
Yeah,
and
and
that'd be about it.
that's why I'm very fascinated by that era of, like, the black comedy era, which is just very, like, melancholy and everyone's, like, very, like, deadpan.
Mhm.
I'm very fascinated by that era of film because it's a totally different comedy style that we've probably grown up seeing we're used to like 21 Jump Street. That was a big prime one
Mhm.
growing up for me. So that was a lot of my like our generation. I don't know why I said my generation. We're close to the same age.
Yeah.
That's our generation's, or even super bad. That's a great
Yeah.
example too.
Mhm.
That's that's why I think this movie, I don't think it's gonna resonate with as much people if you're going in for comedy. I think this is a very fixated taste,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it worked for me. I enjoy this style of comedy a lot. I'm fascinated by it, so I think that's why I was able to appreciate it, and I guess find it funny. But I
Oh, yeah,
definitely can see
funny.
this movie. I definitely can see this movie not working for a lot of people.
Yeah, I will say that if we weren't doing this and it what the purpose of watching the film wasn't for this, I think I wouldn't be as nitpicky with it. If I was just
Yeah,
watching it to watch it, I don't think I'd be as nitpicky with it because I wouldn't feel like I had to be. But whenever I go into things like this, when we're having a conversation about a film and it starts to like really ruminate in my head, that's when I'm like, oh wait, there's some really weird things about this.
yeah,
But like if I were to just watch it to watch it, I I did have a good time, right? I had a good time watching it, I laughed several times, and I was like, "Okay, this is a pretty funny movie." Like, I didn't expect it to be funny considering it was a Martin Scorsese film, but
yeah.
it was funny.
And I also really appreciated how much it holds up still.
Yeah,
I don't think this movie's gonna hold up as well in 20 years just with
maybe not.
upcoming like film generations, upcoming like film fans. I don't think this movie is gonna hold up. And that's maybe something I'm like fearful, not fearful is probably, I don't think that's the right term, but like I definitely think some fans that are, newly getting into film or just are trying to expand their knowledge of film or just like watch older movies or something like that. I'm just very curious how this movie is going to hold up in like 10 or 20 years.
Yeah,
Cuz this movie's already old. It's like 40 years old.
yeah,
So, yeah, I'm
I'm
very
very
curious to
curious.
see how it still holds up. Yeah, I guess technically it's just hit over 40 years old, which is just crazy that movies in the 1980s are like 40 to 50 years old at this point.
Yeah, I know.
I
It's
was at the I think you remember last summer they were when they were playing Jaws, it was like the
yeah. I
55th anniversary or something crazy like that. I was like, "This is crazy."
yeah,
55 years since Jaws,
it was a
and
ridiculous
still hasn't been
number.
a good Shrek movie since.
I know. I went and I watched it in the IMAX release. And they had the big thing where they're like, "Oh yeah, the quote unquote anniversary release of Jaws and IMAX," and I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Are we sure?" And then I looked at it and I was like, "No, yeah, no, yeah, definitely, yeah, okay, all right," and it still held up. Like you watch it in IMAX theater, you see all these people around you who are either older than me or around my
Yeah,
age or people who are around my age who are taking their kids to go see it for the first time, and it was like it still held up, and everybody still had a great time watching it,
yeah.
even though it's like 50 years old. But there's not very many movies like that.
Yeah, that's something why I I kinda get nervous when I'm watching, like, re-releases. Like, I saw Alien when it re-released in '24,
Oh yeah,
and
that would have been
to
fun.
me, that movie blows me away every single time, and that movie came out in the '70s, dude. 1979,
Hmm.
and it's still, I mean, maybe I'm biased because it's, like, one of my favorite movies of all time, but I still think it looks just as good as if it was made today.
No, there's definitely some magic in movies like that. We did my friend Marley and I did Princess Bride, not too
Yeah,
long ago, and, like, yeah, that
fantastic.
movie's still kind of magical in a way. Like, there's still a little bit of movie magic there, even though it's, from the '70s, like, or the '80s or whatever it was. I was like, "Yeah, there's still some magic in there." It's kinda nice.
Yeah,
Doesn't happen often.
and I'm gonna be honest too, I never even heard of this movie if it wasn't for the Criterion Collection. I'm just gonna
Oh,
be
After
honest.
Hours? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, trust me, there's been plenty of damn movies that I hadn't heard of that I did blind buys of Criterion and was like, "Alright, let's go see what this is about," and ended up liking it. So,
which is
that
just
happens
crazy
a
too,
lot.
because that's such like a powerhouse name that you think you're kinda ignorant, you're like, "Okay, I know all of his movies,"
Oh, but again, he's done like
and
40
then you
fucking
don't.
movies. The guy has is a ridiculous number of movies that he has directed. It is genuinely astounding, and he's still directing stuff,
Yeah.
and he's, like, in his 80s.
Would you say he has, like, the best filmography right now?
Probably. And it's still but the thing
Yeah,
is, like, it still keeps getting good, if not better. The guy just did Killers of a Flower Moon not too long ago.
crazy.
That was only, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Like, dude, now he's
and
in fucking Star Wars.
he's in Star Wars, dude. After trashing Marvel, he was like, "F Marvel,
Yeah,
I'm going to Star Wars now."
yeah,
And he picked The Mandalorian and Grogu out of all movies.
yeah. Honestly, he kinda
Interesting
killed that
take,
role,
but
though.
he did.
He
The
kinda killed
four-armed
that role, I'm
creature.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. He did well.
Yeah, it was well,
Yeah.
do you have a rating I don't know if you do ratings at all.
Not normally. I've been really bad about putting things on my letterbox this year, which I've got to. I'm like 7 movies behind on the movies that I need to put on my letterbox. Because I like to think about movies a little bit before I give it a rating.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I definitely need to go do this. I think before it was probably sitting at about a 4. Now I think it's probably gonna sit at like a 3.5. Now that we've kind of talked through it a little bit.
okay.
But, yeah, it's not something that I'm like, oh my god, like, this is life-changing," but, like, it's
Yeah,
still a good movie. I would still, like, watch it with somebody if they're like, "Hey, I haven't seen this before."
yeah,
I
just
would
to see the
still put it
reaction or
on. Yeah,
something.
just to see kind of how they feel about it too.
But
Um,
I think that's where this movie kind of I don't think it has as much rewatch value. I think if you watch it once, it's not gonna hold up as much because this was a fun first experience, and I hate
yeah,
that's another one of those movies too where I just, like, beat myself up over because I'm just like, "Alright, I watched this, and now I kind of, like I weirdly, like, ruined my experience rewatching it."
yeah,
And I have so many movies like that where I don't rewatch them because I just feel like it sometimes loses value a little bit,
mhm,
and I don't know, I just feel like that this is one of those movies that if I rewatch it, I don't think I'm gonna value it as much as I did the first time. Now, a
yeah,
movie like Dog Day Afternoon, I br one of the best, movies I've ever seen,
yeah, and
and
way ahead of its time.
way ahead of its time. That could be a whole 'nother episode let alone.
Yeah,
A movie like that has endless rewatch value,
mhm,
endless. I could watch it 100 times and still not get bored of it,
yeah,
and still not get bored of Al Pacino fumbling the gun in the
yep.
in the present box.
But, yeah, I don't think that this would necessarily have that type of rewatch value at all.
Yeah, rewatch value.
I really don't.
Yeah,
That's actually one of the questions I typically ask at the end of each podcast, like, would this be something that you rewatch? And, like, honestly, for me, it would only be if I end up having someone around or over that hasn't seen it and was like, "You know what? Let's pop it in. Let's, watch it or whatever." That would be the only time. Outside of that, I don't know if I'd rewatch it, by myself unless it's in a few years and I'm gonna give it, like, a fresh shake, and I wanna give it, like, give it the opportunity to kind of
yeah,
look at it in a different way, but that would really be the only time. Even
yeah,
other than that, I'd go throw it on.
I'm kind of the same way. I don't really picture myself rewatching this movie anytime soon. I've no burning desire
Yeah.
because it really feels like one of those movies you just watch once, you get to experience it, experience the chaos unfold, and that's kind of it. I mean, that's what you get. It's a quick 90-minute runtime.
Yeah.
Kind of like I know you haven't seen Drive Away Dolls, and I know that's totally 2 different movies, not
Yeah.
even remotely in the same category, but I'm just referencing that as, like, a threshold of, Drive Away Dolls was very chaotic, chaos unfolding every corner,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't have that, like, rewatch value, like, you enjoy it in the time being, and, yeah, I kinda feel the same way about After Hours, like, it was a fun experience watching it, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't picture myself rewatching it, but that doesn't take away from what I enjoyed about the movie.
Yeah, I get that. totally. Um, I really don't think I would rewatch it again, but I'm not sure. Is is there anything else that you feel like we need to touch on that you can't think that you're thinking about now, or?
I don't know, I think we did a good job covering
Yeah.
everything about After
Yeah.
Hours. I honestly think we overanalyzed it.
A little
We
bit, yeah, probably. Now, at
we
the end of
covered every
each
crevice in this movie, bro.
yeah, we pretty much spelled out the entirety of the film.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much a given on these because I don't really I that's kind of the whole point of this thing is to really talk about the films that, you know, we're watching and everything and really break them down. At the end of each podcast, I typically ask people if there's a film that you have watched for the first time very recently that you feel not a lot of people have watched, but you think that others should give a watch for the first time.
Man, that's a great question. You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That happens.
I don't wanna say I don't wanna say Obsession because it's killing it in the box office right now.
Yeah, I think everybody and their brother's pretty much gone and seen that one at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I watched 500 Days of Summer, that's a popular movie too. Mm, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to come back and, like, think of but can I give a shout out to Obsession, though?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll give a shout out to Obsession. Go see it if you haven't. It's
Yeah.
killing it right now. It That movie brings me weirdly so much, like, joy and inspiration watching that. I was absolutely blown. Curry Barker is, like, a huge inspiration to me as, like, an inspiring filmmaker, and I just love everything that they did about that movie. $750,000 budget, which is insane. Insane.
Wait, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that. That's nuts,
and
actually.
it's tracking, like, 100,000,000 right now in the box office,
Wow. That's crazy.
and, yeah, they're just absolutely killing it.
I haven't seen it
Um,
yet, but
you
from
haven't
what
seen
I've
it yet.
no, my anxiety's been all over the place, so I wanted to wait until I kinda calmed down a little bit before I subjected myself to that. But yeah, like, that's crazy. I didn't know it was only $750,000.
Actually, I do have a movie that I don't think a lot of people have seen, I've seen recently.
Go for it.
Atomic Blonde
Ooh,
with
yeah,
Charlize
okay.
Theron,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
and it
good
was
movie.
funny because me and my girlfriend were looking for movies to watch, we just, like, watching movies at the end of the night, and we came across Atomic Blonde. I never heard of it. I was looking for, like, a fun action movie, and she's like, "Oh, I've seen this in theaters." I looked over her, I'm like, saw this movie? Is it good?" She goes, "Yeah." And dude, we had such a blast watching it. That
That's a
movie
fun
kicks
time.
ass.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Charlize Theron's so awesome in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
I
I don't think a lot of people have really seen it or, like, talk about it, so
no,
it
I haven't
kinda surprised me
seen.
how good it was.
Yeah, I remember watching it not long after it came out, but I don't recall a lot of people talking about that film or that movie at all. It is a fun time though.
Oh, super fun time. The action scenes are insane. That,
Yeah.
like, stairway scene
Oh yeah.
kicks ass.
Oh
And I
yeah.
guess another movie I'll give a shout out to is Thesis, 1996 Spanish horror film, and I watched it for the first time. It was on Shudder. I actually heard Scott Derrickson, director of The Black Phone, I heard him talking about it
I think
and
that's
how
where
it
I
was,
heard
yeah,
about
it
it.
was he was talking about how it inspired him, and I ended up watching it, and that talk about a movie, like, ahead of its time. It was it was essentially like it came around the same time as, like, Silence of the Lambs and the movie 8 mm kinda came out around that type of era of film, where they have, like, serial killers, and yeah, that movie, like, blew me away. It was this, Spanish horror movie. I'm trying to expand foreign films. I always love watching new foreign films, and huge shout out to that movie. So if you guys haven't seen Thesis and from 1996, go on Shutter. It's there, worth every minute.
Yeah. I may have to check that out because I haven't seen a lot of Spanish horror films, so I may have to go do that.
Yeah, I know When Evil Lurks is another really popular one that came out not too long ago. That's another really good foreign horror movie. But yeah, this was really the first. s- I guess I don't want to count Pan's Labyrinth as like a horror movie, but
Kinda
that's
is.
another yeah, that's another really good foreign movie
Very.
that I love. But yeah, go check out Thesis. Like I said, worth every minute.
I
Movie
may have to do that.
kills it.
I may have to do that. Well, Patrick, where can we find you on the internets?
You guys can find me and my two other hosts, Ethan and Cole, at Spillage Studios. We are on YouTube at Spillage Studios, space in between Spillage and Studios. We do an episode every month. We do a long slash cast episode where we review horror movies that you guys are interested in. And yeah, we just love rambling about film horror movies in general. So if you guys ever are interested in checking out some cool or underseen horror movies, go check out Spillage Studios.
Hell yeah! Well, I'll obviously make sure that everything is in the description whenever this episode releases. I'm very glad that we got to do this.
Yeah,
I'm
this
glad
was
that you
awesome,
came
man. I
on.
really appreciate you having me on.
Of
I'm
course.
This is the first time I'm a guest on an episode. I'm usually in the opposite in your chair. I'm usually the one hosting a guest.
Yeah.
So this was cool to be in the other end of the seat a little bit.
Yeah.
Not
I
have
will
like that
definitely have you
anxiety
back on.
building up inside of me when I'm like
No
trying to
comment.
host an episode.
Yeah, every time. I'm sweating profusely, but that's okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have you on again. This was fun. I'm glad that we got to do this again. Yeah, I don't know what we'll do next, and we'll talk about that at some point whenever I kind of figure out what my schedule is looking like.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely gonna have you on again.
absolutely. I'm down every time. So we'll
Cool,
have you on the spillage.
sweet, sounds good. Well, until next time, goodbye.